trying to figure out how to. All right, I'll just do this. Ready? Okay. Y'all ready?
Everybody good?
All right, good afternoon. I'm Sheriff Eric Levitt. That's ERICLEVETT. So on November the 30th, our National EMS, our ambulance service here, responded to the Rockdale County Jail of a report of an attempted suicide. They transported inmate Timothy Shane to Grady Hospital, accompanied by our transporting deputies for a medical examination. On December the 1st, around 1:20, inmate Shane decided he wanted to escape from Grady Memorial Hospital. After he escaped, he then stole a vehicle that was parked and running in the area of Piedmont Avenue and Auburn Avenue. He crashed the vehicle into another vehicle as he fled, and let me make sure I express that no one was chasing him at the time, and when he crashed into that other vehicle. When he crashed, he jumped out of the vehicle and ran on foot. When he left the hospital, he was only wearing a gown, no shoes, no socks. At the time, inmate Shane, we knew that inmate Shane had a history of fleeing and stealing vehicles, which was a huge concern of ours once we learned that he had escaped from the hospital. Once we was notified, we launched units in the area of the hospital, along with Atlanta PD was called, who assisted us, as well as Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Once Atlanta PD arrived on the scene to work the accident and speak with the owner of the vehicle, they discovered that a handgun was missing from the vehicle, and at that time we considered inmate Shane to be armed and dangerous. So we contacted other surrounding agencies in the area who assisted us in setting up a perimeter in that area to locate inmate Shane. So we want to make sure that we give credit to Atlanta Police Department and Fulton County Sheriff's Office at the time, who arrived on the scene to assist us in that area. As I stated earlier, APD handled the accident. We allocated additional resources from the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office to respond to Atlanta to assist on the perimeter to locate inmate Shane. It was later reported to us that another vehicle was stolen in the area of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and it was described as a silver Pontiac Grand Prix. As we were doing our investigation to track down that vehicle, we noticed that that vehicle had hit our flock in Rockdale County around 8:10 a.m. So we knew that he had gotten out of Atlanta early that morning. So our investigators was notified that the vehicle that he was driving was located in Henry County at the Publix on Highway 155. As we conducted further investigation, Henry County Police Department responded. Their investigators assisted. We looked at video footage and confirmed that it was inmate Shane who was at that Publix. During the course of that investigation, we learned that inmate Shane had a conversation with an individual in that parking lot. We was able to identify that individual who had no connections to inmate Shane, and the vehicle that he was driving was abandoned, which was recovered. Inmate Shane was later picked up, we discovered, through surveillance of the Publix by an Uber driver occupying a black SUV. Once we tracked down the black SUV, we learned that he was dropped off at a location in Rockdale County. We allocated our resources to that area where we learned that inmate Shane had connections to an address in the area of that location in Rockdale County. We came back to the office. We put undercovers in that area to watch that house, and we got a search warrant, and we went and hit that residence. Once we hit the residence, we found several occupants of that residence, but inmate Shane was not there. However, he had been there earlier. During the course of the investigation, we learned that we received information that inmate Shane had made his way into Newton County, and we received calls around 4:40 p.m. that he was at a Dunkin' Donuts on 278. He had contacted somehow a ride share who picked him up and dropped him off in the area in the middle of the road in the area of Old Monticello Way. Once we received that information, we allocated resources in that area on Old Monticello Way, and we contacted the Covington Police Department who assisted us in that area. Covington PD began to receive tips that there was a white male knocking on doors in that area. The Covington PD units responded, as well as Rockdale Sheriff's Office units responded, and we deployed K9. K9 began tracking in that area. As we were tracking and attempting to locate the suspicious male in that area, we did discover that it was inmate Shane based upon Ring camera footage that we received to identify him. We contacted the Georgia State Patrol helicopter to assist us in locating him once he was identified that that was him in that area. And we also, as I stated earlier, had K9 deployed. We removed K9 once the helicopter arrived and contacted other K9s to assist us because that K9 had became exhausted. And we began to receive a call in a 900 block of Morris Drive of a male knocking on a basement door. Our resources reallocated to that area. Covington Police Department and units in the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office, we began checking that area when we came upon an abandoned residence. And when they went into that residence, that's where they located inmate Shane. He was then taken into custody, and we transported him to the Rockdale County Jail. So I want to commend the Covington Police Department, Newton County Sheriff's Office, Atlanta PD, Georgia State Patrol, of course, the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office for all of their hard work, all of our agencies that assisted in locating this individual. I'm a believer that when a crime happened in Rockdale County, we're going to solve that crime. I am hard on crime, and I'm big about crime fighting. The hard work that the men and women of the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office completed in this mission got this individual in custody in 31 hours. We like to accomplish solving a crime within 48 hours, and we solved this one and got this gentleman in custody in 31 hours. I am confident that we would have got him in custody earlier than we did, but time caught us on based upon surveillance that we were counting on. And so, with that, this case is still under investigation, a criminal investigation and internal investigation. So there may be some questions that I cannot answer. So with that, I would now open it up for any questions that you may have.
I don't want to take away from your accomplishments of capturing inmate Shane, but it appears that this manhunt, this escape wouldn't ever happen if the deputy who was supervising Shane didn't, I guess, lack or fall back on what he was supposed to be doing there. What do you have to say to the community who may be thinking, look, I have some doubts with the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office. How do you answer that? How do you bring that trust?
Okay, so no agency is perfect, and every entity, whether it's a governmental agency or whether it's whether it's corporate America is gonna err up from time to time. I cannot tell you that any errors was made in this case. As I stated earlier, there's an internal investigation that is being conducted. To use the words lack, I cannot confirm or deny that because it is an open investigation. There would be prejudgment on my behalf to say what an employee was lacked in doing, because we don't know exactly what they were doing. We are currently awaiting surveillance from the hospital to see what exactly could have, if anything, went wrong as to how he escaped and why he escaped. What the employee was doing, what policies that could have been broken or not broken. And so I hope that, and I believe that our community and can trust in our abilities, and when we investigate how things like this happen, and that the conclusion is going to be facts, based upon facts, and that's what we will conclude this investigation with.
And Sheriff, what is your standard protocol for supervising inmates while at Brady?
So you said while they...
The standard protocol, how many deputies are normally assigned to an inmate? What does that supervision look like?
So it depends on the charges of the inmate, the category of the inmate. It could be anywhere from 1 deputy to 2 deputies an inmate.
And in this case, it was 1 or 2.
Well, in this case, there was 2 deputies at the time, and then it later was 1.
And do you have an understanding of how he physically got out of the hospital?
Well, my understanding would only be my opinion, and I don't want to exhort my opinion in the community. I want to rely on the facts of the investigation, at the conclusion of the investigation.
Sheriff, to be clear, when you take someone to the hospital, is it the hospital's job to secure them, or is it the deputy's job to secure them?
It's always the law enforcement job to secure an inmate that is in the custody of law enforcement.
Will you be looking at your policies and procedures moving forward based on this happening, regardless of what went wrong? Will you be reevaluating that?
Absolutely. We'll look at those policies, and if there's any accountability that need to be held, accountability will be held. I can guarantee you that. If there's any amendment to our policies that need to be done, those amendments will be done. I can guarantee you that. Anytime any incidents happen, whether it's a small incident or a minor incident, where we have to look at policies, we're going to always look at those policies, determine if anything needs to be changed, or to determine if anyone needs to be held accountable.
Sheriff, my question too, I think, quit beating around the bush about it, right, for us, there's a lot of concern. How the heck did this guy get out of the hospital, get past the deputy? What happened here, right? And I think that's the question we're not hearing. Yes, there's an internal investigation, but what have you guys reviewed? Have you guys looked at the body camera footage of what this officer was doing? I mean, I think people want answers, and I think they deserve answers.
Okay, so these are the answers that I'll give you, and these are the answers that I'll give the community. Again, it would be a prejudgment of me to give you what if any little information that I know, because information can change based upon evidence that you collect and you have to review. I can tell you that the last time I had a briefing with my Office of Professional Standards, they were awaiting the surveillance video from inside of the hospital and the surveillance video from the exterior of the hospital. And so the same concerns that the community have, I and the members of this office have those same concerns. And I can tell you that if there's anything that an employee violated, that employee or any employees will be held accountable. That I can assure the public on. But I cannot tell you or the community anything that I may know that could change. And you know, telling you something that can change is just it would cause even more questions on my statements that I made. So I would rather not tell you anything that's told. But what I can say is that that employee has been interviewed. So I hope that they will believe and trust that we're going to get to the bottom of it.
I appreciate the honesty.
Is this a particular employee or deputy suspended pending the outcome of the investigation?
The employee was placed on administrative leave.
When did that happen?
The same day.
Well, I was told yesterday that he was not put on administrative leave and that he was still active.
I don't No, the employee is placed on administrative leave.
And Sheriff, even without that video, the surveillance video, what is the deputy's explanation? I mean, I'm sure they had to give some sort of reasoning for how this happened.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
What was the deputy's explanation, even without this video? What did they tell you as to what happened in terms
So I cannot release that information. I have not, in fact, to be completely honest with you, I have not asked the investigators for that information. I don't have any reason at this time to ask the investigators. I want them to do their job, and I want them to get to the bottom of it. And then once they conclude that investigation, I will then review that package at that time. If any further questions need to be asked, we will submit that back to that investigator to ask further questions and do more investigations.
Sheriff, was he cuffed at any point in time while at the hospital?
Yes, he was.
So he must have gotten out of the cuffs himself, or was he removed?
So again, I don't want to release this particular case, but what I will say as a response to any inmate that's in custody, and I will hope for any sheriff's office that has inmates in their custody, when the inmate is transported to a doctor's office or any facility outside of the jail, and even around the jail, they are cuffed and they're shackled. Oftentimes, for certain procedures and processes of a hospital, due to interference, such as MRIs, X-rays, CAT scans, those handcuffs or leg irons have to come off to keep from the metal interfering with those testing, so they can get accurate testing. And so that's the only thing that I would comment on that process. In terms of what happened with ours, because it's under investigation, I don't want to say anything any further on that.
Was he in the detention wing, and how long did it take for him?
I'm sorry?
How was he in the detention wing of the hospital, and how long was it before y'all realized that he was not there?
To my understanding, he was not in the detention wing yet. He was going through some testing at the time that he escaped.
Sheriff, I have a two-part question about the stolen cars. Okay, you talked about inmate Shane. You mentioned he had a history of this, so you were concerned about that. I want you to elaborate on that. And then I want to know, with the two stolen vehicles, were these carjackings?
Okay, so to your first question,
You said he had a history. You were
so he had a history of stealing vehicles, and he also had a history of being in possession of guns. So naturally, we have an inmate that's on the run. He's escaped. And he's in Atlanta, in the city of Atlanta, essentially the downtown area of Atlanta, where it's saturated with people and cars. So naturally, that's going to be a huge concern, not only to me, but any law enforcement agency, that when someone is desperate to get away, they're going to try to find those reasonable means to get away. It's not a bus or a train that they're trying to get on to get away. It is a car, especially someone that has a history of stealing cars. And when you're attempting to steal cars, a concern of mine as any law enforcement is sometimes people would resist from those cars, those keys, or that car being taken, which can pose a physical threat to that individual. And we most certainly did not want an escaped inmate to cause harm to any public member or citizen. And so that's why it was a concern to me, and it was a concern to me that we needed to get him off the street because of that history.
And did he carjack these people? Were they in the car?
So to that question, I am not aware of him committing any carjacking. There has not been any carjacking that has been reported to us.
These were just running cars with nobody in them?
One of the cars was running. I don't know the circumstances of the second car, but I can tell you it was not reported that it was a carjacking.
So we saw the footage from inside of the squad car. Do you know if the officer's body cam was on during this entire time?
I do not know.
Quick question for you, Sheriff. Is the department kind of worried that other inmates will try and do the same since it's first escape?
As far as this sheriff's office, no. Again, if you want to just talk about this particular incident and that's how this incident happened, I can assure you that immediately after this incident happened, we began talking about, processes, our next processes if we have to transport an inmate outside of our jail. Even if we were following our current process, we talked about additional processes. We pride ourselves on the work that we do here in the security of our inmates and even transporting them. This is just one incident where an inmate escaped. How that inmate escaped, why the inmate escaped is under investigation, and we're going to determine how and why.
Sheriff, I talked to the family yesterday, and they said that he has a long history of mental illness, including paranoid schizophrenia, along with drug use from the meth that he's done. How will he be treated now? Are things going to be different if he's going to go to a medical side, or I don't know what happens, but just curious.
So we have a medical vendor in place, and our medical vendor will determine the resources that need to be utilized for any previous diagnosis that he may have had, and they would do an evaluation based upon what he has reported to them, and they would take a look at what family members may have reported to us. And so just because you receive that information doesn't mean that we have knowledge of that information, but when they come into the jail, we do an assessment of that individual with our medical.
Sheriff, let me ask you, just back to your policy about transporting them to the hospital. I know you mentioned he went in for a CT scan. When he came out of the CT scan, is there a policy, is it specific to say how soon the restraints have to go back on the inmates?
Well, first of all, we will have that conversation with the medical staff that is doing the testing. And once that medical staff clears us, our hopes is that they're cleared immediately so that those cuffs can go back on. Based on my knowledge on testing, I don't know if any of you have ever had those kind of testings done. Oftentimes they have to go back and review it really quick to see that those pictures come out, whatever that testing is. And so naturally you would not put handcuffs or leg irons on an individual until it's cleared by that medical staff. And so once that medical staff clears you, those handcuffs and leg irons should go back on them immediately after if they don't need to do any more testing.
Sheriff, do you know how he ordered these Ubers? I mean, we're all curious. Did he have a phone? Did he have other people helping him? How did he get these Ubers?
What I would tell you about that is, as I stated earlier, that's under criminal investigation. That part is, there's 2 investigations, and that's a criminal investigation. When we took him into custody, we as of yet to locate a cell phone. And so how he was making these calls, we don't quite know yet. But those are some answers that we're trying to
And did you guys find
answer.
the gun?
Say again?
Did you guys find the gun at all that he had or did not have in his
So
possession?
in the vacant resident, there was some property that was recovered. It has not been reported to me that a gun was in that property yet. I think that they're still at the residence, but it has not been reported to me that the gun has been recovered yet.
So the incident that led to all of this was the attempted suicide. Can you elaborate on that, and is he on suicide watch now?
So yes, we was lured to him on an attempted suicide. Now, what I would tell you that it is my belief that it was a staged suicide, and it's my belief based on information that was reported to us from interviews of the inmates that was in that cell as well. It is also our belief based on resources that we've reviewed that there was no one that was involved in this what I'm calling to be staged suicide cry out that he done. We heard no conversations with anyone that he talked to that aided in this. Now, after he escaped, if there was anyone that aided and harbored him, I can assure you that we would deal with them accordingly, but we have not discovered that as of yet.
Now, the door knocking, I have a question about that. In one case, on some doorbell camera video, he approached somebody and said, "Hey, I've been out hunting all night. I need some water, I need some food." Was this the same message he was telling other people he was knocking on their doors? Was it the same kind of MO? What was happening there? Were these people, seems like they would have been in pretty significant danger to come to the door?
So as I wrap up with this last question, I would tell you that I heard that report as well, and that's the only person that reported that to us. I believe with the good works that y'all have done on this case and getting the story out, and us putting information out on our Facebook page and all of our other social media resources, it made residents in areas of our communities that is connected to Rockdale County suspicious of anybody that would knock on the door such as that. And because that county was familiar with or knew that he was hanging out in that area, it made them even more suspicious that most people did not have a conversation with him. They immediately called it in. This particular resident had a conversation with him, and that's the only conversation that's been reported to me. All right, thank you all.
Thank you for watching ANF Plus. For more breaking news, live coverage, and your community stories, download the Atlanta News First app. You can also watch us on YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. To join the conversation on YouTube Live, visit our channel and hit subscribe. You can also listen to the Atlanta News First podcast by searching Atlanta News First on your preferred listening platform.